The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour. Today on the AgriLife Extension Hour, we will be featuring the Better Living for Texans program with host Yvonne Welther.
Howdy, y'all. How you doing? This is Yvonne Welther, your Better Living for Texans host for Montgomery County. And just remember, Better Living for Texans is a collaborative effort funded by USDA through the Texas Health and Human Services Department. For today's show, I have a special guest with me. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about the importance of being active and staying active. And my special guest is Miss Cachet Perry Bean. And Miss Cachet, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'd love to. Well, I've lived in Conroe about 11 years now, but I come originally from Utah. Grew up in Utah. Love the things about Utah, the outdoors, the mountains. Grew up skiing, hiking, being active outdoors a lot. So Texas is a little bit different from that.
A little bit.
I've over these last 11 years, I've learned that Texas, especially in Conroe, there are a lot of outdoor things that you can do, especially during those non-hot summer months.
Oh my! And tell us a little bit about what you do for the city. Oh,
okay. Well, I am a water aerobics instructor. I teach usually about 5 classes a week at the Aquatic Center. I teach regular water aerobics, and then I teach a water walking class, and then I teach a deep water jogging class.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm not going to ask you, do you love your job? Because, I mean, I love your job.
You know, I do love my job. I love the exercise part, and I love the interacting with people part. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's very important. That's a reason why I had invited you here, because we both have classes that are offered through the city of Conroe, Parks and Rec, and my class is also encouraging physical activity, and which is what Parks and Rec is all about. It's all about fun and healthy activities that we can do that are not beyond our reach, and that of course ties in with what we're going to talk about on how important it is to be active and stay active even when we're 99.
Oh, for sure. My grandma's 93, and I'll tell you, she is spry as can be, and it's because she's always been active.
Really? And let me tell you something. This is some interesting information I found out. I went to a lectureship over in Kingsville, and we had the head of Texas Parks and Recreation, whose name is Carter Smith. And Carter Smith asked the audience, he said, and I'll say this in every show just about because it still shocks me. It's been like 4 months and it's still shocking me. He asked the audience, how much time or how many hours or minutes a week does the average adult spend outdoors? Can you guess, Miss Cachet?
I would say it's probably really low. Like 15 minutes? I don't know.
Wow. You're kind of close if it was daily. But the average adult spends 40 minutes a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Outdoors.
That's it?
Now, a week. Yes. Yeah. A week. And children. Can you guess how much time children spend outside a week?
If we're talking weekly, maybe 2 hours. Maybe an hour. I don't know.
You overshot by an hour. It's around 54 minutes.
Wow.
A week. Children. And we were talking about this right before the show. When we were growing up, it was different. I mean, we were outside. I remember just being outside, running barefoot, stepping on birds and plucking them out. I mean, we're outside all the time. And I guess with modern technology, modern comforts, we just don't do that as much. The lure is too good. It's too good. What do we have?
There's a lot of distractions.
A lot of distractions, exactly. It could be people are working more hours. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what it is, but we're just not getting that. And these are the sobering statistics that we got from the CDCs. If you go to cdc.gov, you'll get this information. And I pulled this from the CDC website. And there's a study that was done, or just something that they put together in collaboration with the New England Journal of Medicine and the Office of the Surgeon General. And there's this great article on www.fitness.gov that I saw and read, and it had some interesting information. Here's some facts. About 1/3 of the U.S. adults, which is 33.8%, are obese. Okay? Approximately 17%, which is 12.5 million children, ages 2 to 19, and adolescents are obese. Over the last 20 years, there's just been a significant surge in obesity in the United States. What does that mean? What is going to happen in the future? That's something that's very, it's a public health matter. And it really is something that people don't think about the consequences of this in the long run. You know, and what does it mean? Well, for many,
it impacts quality of life for
right.
Not only them personally, but quality of life for their families, quality of life for the community.
Right. It's they're even, part of this study was that they had stated if things remain as they are today, the 1/3 of all children born in the year 2000 or later may suffer from chronic illnesses in their life and earlier than what people might have anticipated. You know, type 2 diabetes, you usually get it when you're 40, and no, kids are getting it already when they're 10. You know, this is very serious, and it has some very severe consequences for your children, for the future. Studies indicate, also it's from the same report, studies indicate that overweight youth may never achieve a healthy weight. That's tough. And up to 70% of obese teens may become obese adults. So there needs to be an intervention. There needs to be something done. And that's why we have so many government agencies and that work with city government, and they're trying to do something about this. And that's why we have this great programs all over the community, whether it be national, we know about those, whether it be local, but they are all working in collaboration with all these other organizations to stop this. Because I'm just thinking about this is mind-blowing. I'm at a loss of words just having read this information. What's your take on this? What do you think, Ms. Cachet, from your observations?
Well, I think for a lot of people, being physically active or taking care of yourself or eating healthy becomes of secondary importance to working, managing your family, and all those other aspects of life that are very demanding of our time. So sometimes we put those other priorities as secondary or tertiary,
right?
And rather than, they need to be right up there, they need to be part of our daily focus. We need to have a daily plan of activity.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, a lot of my clients in my classes that I offer in the community, they will say, I have my children I have to take care of, and they'll list a bunch of factors and input and all that. And in the end, I say, why are you putting yourself last? If you're not around, who's going to take care of your kids? Who's going to be there to watch your children grow? In a sense, then, we put ourselves in the back. Us as moms.
Right, it's true.
Our kids' needs are first and foremost. We're not going to go out. A lot of us, or a lot of the moms that I have happened to run into, will say, well, I don't have all that money for the fancy gyms. But I tell them, honey, you don't need a fancy gym. You have fantastic parks all around your community. And let me tell you, that's why I chose Conroe to live in, because of all the parks.
Yeah.
I looked at the park and said, I know this is a good place to live because they got really nice, clean, well-lit, accessible parks.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about. So I have 4 kids. I'm in my mid-40s, so my kids they're older. But back when they were younger, we lived in Utah, and they're all really close in age. And it was a struggle for me to, find time for myself to be active, just me. But I would try to incorporate things as a family. We would go on walks together. We would ride bikes together. We would go to the park together. And try to incorporate physical activity together. And where we lived in this small community, they had a rec center, and I would try to take advantage of that and do the classes that I could and use the child care that was provided. And so, there's always, I think it becomes a matter of if you make it a priority to take care of yourself, there are ways to make it happen.
So it's changing the way people think. I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah.
You immediately said, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna prioritize this over that, and that's what I'm trying to convince people of. It's like, you matter too.
Right.
If you aren't around, then who will do these things that you love and hold dear to your heart? Who's going to do that for you? Nobody is.
Well, and there's the one of the benefits of exercise that has nothing to do with your physical, it's your emotional well-being.
That's right.
And so if you can take that time to, whether it's incorporating it with your children or on your own, if you can take that time, daily if possible, but definitely several times a week, you'll feel better. You'll feel more accomplished. You will.
Your self-esteem will get a lot better.
Your self-esteem will go up. You'll have this lighter feeling to yourself, knowing that that you're doing something that's important, and you just feel good about it.
And Miss Cachet, you're not going to believe it, but you know what studies say? That exercising changes your mood for the better. We will be going to break. Before that, check us out on Facebook. We have a community page, and it's called Montgomery County Better Living for Texans. Check us out. Please stay tuned for the Extension Hour with your Montgomery County Better Living for Texans host, Yvonne Welther, on IR Lone Star Radio.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
Our community's animal shelters cannot absorb accidental litters of kittens and puppies. Approximately 80% of the animals entering our shelters will not make it out alive. Please help be a part of the solution. Please spay and neuter your pets. Many low-cost options are available. Visit texaslittercontrol.org to learn more. That's texaslittercontrol.org. And remember, real Texans don't litter. Please spay and neuter your pets.
Hi folks, it's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and I want to invite you to join me every Saturday morning right here on Lone Star Internet Radio from 8 to 9 for Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Bill Dance is a frequent guest. Larry Weisser, Mr. Whitetail, is on the show every week. We talk a lot of hunting and fishing and generally have a good time. So remember, every Saturday morning, 8 to 9, right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that drinking and driving do not mix. Drinking and driving causes an alcohol-related fatality every hour in the United States. Stay sober and stay alive.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3 all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our goals are fourfold: to rescue and rehabilitate homeless animals, to provide a safe haven for the animals until a suitable adoption or foster care home is found or until they are reunited with their owner, to educate the public about the great need to reduce pet population, which includes the importance of having their pets spayed and neutered, and to further the cause for humane and responsible pet ownership, and to provide a low-cost spay-neuter clinic for people who are unable to afford to spay or neuter their pets otherwise. SPCA Pet Snap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
Howdy, and thank you for listening to the Extension Hour on IR Lone Star. I'm glad you're back. You are listening to the Extension Hour with your Better Living for Texans host, me, Yvonne Welther, and my very special guest, aquatic and aerobics instructor, Miss Cachet Perry Bean.
Good to be here today with you.
Awesome. Today's topic, we were just discussing in the first quarter about the problem that we have in the U.S. in regards to health and inactivity, and the problems that arise from having a sedentary lifestyle. We have issues with obesity, chronic illness, and very young children, and that's a shame. And the morbidity and mortality is just really bad because we're not expecting to outlive our children aren't going to be outliving us. That's what they're saying, and that's nothing worse than having to see that. I mean, I don't care if I'm 99. I do not want to outlive my children.
No, definitely not.
No. And now there's a lot of initiatives nationally and community-wise, city-wise, county-wise, a lot of great programs that are out there trying to figure out how we could intervene. And one of those is Grow It Go, and it's something that Better Living for Texans offers for youth in schools. And we teach them about where the food comes from. We get them out to the gardens. We have a school that's participating in this recently who signed on, and they're Grangeville and Intermediate, and they're doing such a wonderful job. I mean, the principal there and the teachers there are superstars, and they see a difference in their children. And the children, they understand. Many don't know where food comes from. They're out there, they're working in the garden, working up a sweat, understanding some science, biology, and getting physically involved. So, I mean, these are all things that we're trying to do to intervene and do something about this before this gets to be a national, it already is a national problem. I mean, the last thing we need are our citizens to be feeble and weak. So, I mean, there's so much that's going on with the intervention of obesity and what have you. But so we talked about how it's very important to be active and stay active, but for a lot of people, they didn't grow up with that. I mean, this is something that's obviously is an idea that you learn when you're young. Is that right?
I believe, definitely. I believe that. We learn from our parents. Our parents model behavior that we learn and then take on. So that doesn't always. Sometimes we want to have behavior that wasn't modeled to us. So where do we look? We look to outside people. But in my family growing up, we were active. We would go backpacking and hiking in the summer. In the winter, we would go skiing in the winter. And I enjoy that physical activity. And I at a young age, I could see people around me that weren't as active, and I saw the detriment to how they felt and their physical, ailments.
Right.
And I realized that I didn't want to be that way, and so I knew that it was up to me to be able to take care of my body, so that it could be a healthy body.
It is. It's our choice, definitely.
It is our choice, and it's not an easy feat. It's not easy. Like I said, I have 4 kids, so I experienced 4 pregnancies, and each time I'd have to build back and you know, work hard to get back to being that physical active person that I was before I was pregnant. You know, I tried to maintain some throughout, but you know, most of us, that's not super possible. But what I'm saying is, you know, I think if there's something that we want to do, I don't think that we should let those barriers get in the way. And there are a lot of different barriers.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who, again, you know, the parental influence that is there. That's a barrier. If you have a positive outlook on exercise and activity, I mean, I tell my kids, let's go out and walk for 5 hours, and they're like, Mom, ground, oh, you're horrible, Mom. It's like, yeah, let's do it, kids. Come on, you need this in your life. Let's go out and explore. But if you have a negative attitude about this, conversely, it's going to be the same thing. If you have a negative attitude as a parent, and then you just, everything, your kids are going to say, you know, exercise is horrible, because that's how I learned. I mean, they're not going to say it, but they're probably going to live it. They're not going to be wanting to participate in all those things. So yes, parents, you have the biggest influence on your children. They're watching us. Cachet, they watch us.
Yes.
And they know. And I've heard my kids talk about their old lady, me, to their friends. And they're like, my mom boxes and she fences and she raises goats. And they're like, you're full of beans. I said, no, that's my mom. It's like, no, it's true. It's like, I like to be active, and I want my children to also be participating in these things. So the fact of the matter is, we do affect, our attitudes affect our children's attitudes as well. So let's be careful for that. And I mean, let me tell you, the older we get, this is going to sound silly, but the older we get, the more susceptible we are to getting old, to illness, to pain, to falls, to depression. And let me tell you, when I, you know, the older you get, the more you see this happening with people around you that you grew up with, right? And studies show, you know, if you are an active older person, even if you weren't in your mid years, you can start and it'll be better for you than not doing anything. So if you were not an active youngster, I guess, you can just go. It's never too late. That's what they're saying. The experts saying try.
Exactly.
Do it. Yes. Because, I mean, if anything, exercising and movement improves your likelihood to not die faster. That's the best way to say it.
It's the same thing. You know, someone who's been a lifelong smoker, once they give that up, then their body can heal. You know, if you've been lifelong sedentary, once you start being active, then your body's going to respond.
That's right. Just like it responds when you're actually, you know, being active, your body will respond to not being active. It has this mechanisms in there that function as it would if you were either injured or immobilized or sick. It starts to slow down, and these mechanisms say, you know what? There's not much going on here. Let's close all these channels that were once there. Let's block them. It's not going to happen. And let's slow down a little bit. Your body doesn't say that really, but it kind of behaves like that. So the sedentary lifestyle kind of shuts your body down. And that doesn't do anything for building. And when we're aging, it's more, we have to focus on building at the cellular level. That's why, Cachet, from what I understand, your aqua aerobics, do you have a good amount of older citizens?
I would say the average age is 60s. We get ladies down in their, 30s a little bit, and we have ladies as old as, some lady was 80. I can't remember. She was in her 80s. So there's a range. We do have men, but it's mostly ladies. And, I have all sorts. I have the ladies who, when they were younger, maybe they played a lot of tennis and did a lot of other things. And now in their 70s, they've transitioned more into the water aerobics because it is gentler on your body. It's easier on your joints. And so they're able to maintain that active level where they can't still maybe play tennis like they want to, but they can go and they can be active and they can get that good feeling of endorphins of exercise. And then, I also get people that maybe have never been active and maybe they have had knee surgery or back surgery, and their doctor says, look, you need to do something to become active. You need to be moving to help rehab whatever it is. And I get those
Yes.
kind of people.
I've heard about that. They go get knee surgery, and the next day, hours later, they make them stand up. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
And you know what's interesting is I'll watch some of these patrons. They'll walk, and you can notice that maybe they have a little bit of a limp or something to their walk.
Right, their gait might be off.
But you get them in the water, and it's a totally different story. They can move pretty freely. That water it's kind of an equalizer in that there's a cushioning factor. And I mean, even myself, like, if I've been running a lot and I might have like a little bit of an ache or pain in my knee or something,
Right.
I get in the water and it feels great.
Right, and then you have all that muscle. You're working your muscles because of the weight the water has, and you can't move as
You've got
easily.
there's that resistance that is
equalizer,
naturally there. So that's what I'm saying. I think that there's one of the barriers people think is, well, I can't do this or I can't do that kind of
because
exercise.
I'm older and I'm just
right,
uh-huh.
or whatever it is, or I might have an injury, but I think that there's so many varieties of exercise out there, Yvonne, that we can that shouldn't be a reason not to exercise because there's not something that we can do. I think there's always something that we can find to do.
So we're gonna play a little game, and we're gonna do that before we go to break. And I'm gonna be Betty Barrier, and you're gonna give me a quick fire response to this.
Okay.
Miss Cachet, I don't have time.
Make the time.
Miss Cachet, my friends and family don't like the interests and the physical activities that I like to do.
Well, that's okay. They don't have to like it. I mean, you're not going to like everything they like to do. They don't have to like everything that you like to do. It's okay.
Miss Cachet, I don't have motivation or energy to exercise.
Well, you know what? I would say seek out a friend. Seek out a friend for motivation. Get
Excellent.
a companionship to help motivate you.
That's right. Betty Barrier. I don't have equipment in my house.
Okay, you don't need equipment. You can body weight exercises. I can 5 of them off the top of my head. You can do push-ups. You can do sit-ups. You can do squat jumps. You can do mountain climbers. You can do jumping jacks. There's a lot of things that you can just do in your bedroom without anything.
Awesome. Betty Barrier says, my family caregiving obligations are too much. I can't.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of priorities still. When my kids were little, I had to get up in the dark and go for my runs before my husband would go to work, and because that was something that was important to me. And so I think it's,
Well, how about this one? This is a big one for a lot of my audiences. They say, I don't want people to see me in exercise clothes. I'm not fit.
I've been there too. I've had to come back, and I'll tell you, you know what? That's a hard one to overcome because we're such an image-focused culture, and I think you just have to get that inner strength to know, you know what? It's okay. I might be here right now, starting out, but I'm doing something positive for myself, and I'm not going to worry about what other people perceive or what I think other people are thinking, because you know what? Most people aren't even paying attention to you. Right. They're just worried about their own,
self.
They don't go out much. They're just as insecure as you are.
Yeah, and this is a problem. I'm planning to take a field trip to the swimming to go see about your programs with City of Conroe at the rec. And some of my ladies are worried that they don't look good in a bathing suit, and they're comparing themselves to crazy stuff. I was like, ladies, we're talking about. I said, look, I'm gonna give you right now. I mean, there's like all this funny stuff, varicose veins. I mean, there's all that jiggly thing. We all got that, I mean, or most of us do. So we're not going to be out there pretending we don't have that. Everybody's got something. So what? Nobody cares. Just like what you said, we're really just so into ourselves, and we're not aware of others.
Well,
and it doesn't matter. You're going to go out in a bathing suit. We're not there to judge you. It's not a beauty pageant. We're there to work and work out, actually. So.
Well, and there's every single body type that shows up for these water aerobics classes. I'll tell you that. And it's not like you're laying out at the pool looking at each other. We're in the water. We're moving. You're not even paying attention to what other people look like. Honestly.
Right. So it's one of the big barriers that I have had experience with my clients is their appearance. And I said, no, honey, you're here to do something, and I applaud you for that, and that makes it beautiful. So, well, we will be heading to break, and we will come back and talk more about good old information on how to keep ourselves active for our next segment. So check us out on our Montgomery County Better Living for Texans page. We'll go on break. Please stay tuned for the Extension Hour with your Montgomery County Better Living for Texans host, Yvonne Welther, on IR Lone Star Radio.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441-7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.mcpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. Through our Operation School Bell program, we have provided new clothes to over 50,000 students in our county. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe, or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that texting and talking on the phone while driving are not only dangerous, but also illegal in school zones and other posted areas. Drive safely and alert.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
Howdy and welcome back. I thank you very much for listening to us on IR Lone Star. And today we are talking about the importance of maintaining an active lifestyle and the consequences or the benefits from that. And it's very important to always keep active. I don't know how, but many people have the idea once you hit a certain age and you're of retirement age, then you should probably be sitting down knitting because you're so frail, okay, and old and stuff. But it's actually the opposite. If you have an active lifestyle, you will be less susceptible to having early mortality. So
definitely.
You won't. It's something I read from a pretty legitimate source, but I'm just paraphrasing. So, Ms. Cachet, we're talking about lifelong activities, and could you tell us more about what a lifelong activity or sport is, if you can give us a few examples of that?
I think, a lifelong activity is something that you can maintain. I think running can be a lifelong activity. Walking definitely is a lifelong activity. Anything in the pool, swimming, water aerobics, those can be lifelong activities. Golf, is a lifelong activity. I think you can learn that when you're younger, and that's something you can maintain. But I think the important thing is that that it hits on a couple of things. It is something that affects you cardiovascularly.
Right.
It's something that helps you to keep your muscle strength, and it's something to help keep your flexibility.
And you also mentioned something earlier when we were on break. You had mentioned the emotional.
Oh, definitely, yes. It's something that's gonna be a positive for your emotions. It's gonna be a mood lifter.
That's right. And you know what a lot of the problems are with the aging population is that they feel there's a lot of issues with depression. And we have discussed earlier, and it's been proven that if you exercise, it does mitigate the effects of depression, or it just makes it non-existent. Because the thing is, when you participate in a lifelong activity or sport, I mean, we're talking badminton, swimming, all that stuff. You go to places probably where others are participating in this, so you are socializing. And the moment people stop engaging in society, they feel like I am not of use, and that's where they spiral downward. Right. And it's just a vicious cycle. You stop socializing, so you stop being out there, you stop being as active, you don't talk to any, it's a vicious cycle. What we want to promote is a virtuous cycle. The more exercise you have, the more you go out, the more you socialize with people, the better you feel, and the better it is for you.
When definitely better quality of life. I mean,
yeah, that's unfortunate. And we say exercise improves when you're older. It improves your balance. It improves your circulation. It improves a lot of. There's so many benefits to this, and when you don't have balance, when you don't do these things, you more likely be susceptible to falls. And when you have a fall, you're probably going to be bedbound or immobile for a while. And remember those the body responses to a sedentary lifestyle. It knows, or it feels that the mechanisms go and they start kind of slowing you down. So that happens. It's just, like I said, a vicious cycle. So when you're there, you're not doing anything. You're going to lose independence. And from working in the hospital years ago, I know that a lot of folks felt depressed, because I know it happened to my 105-year-old grandma. She was active up until the time she fell, and she broke her hip, and she was bedbound. And then she just went into a horrible depression because she found herself to be not as dependent. She couldn't do anything on her own anymore. You lose your independence, and you have to depend on people to feed you, to take you to the potty, to bathe you, and that just did it for her. She went into a depression.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies are made to move.
Right.
They're built for movement and mobility, and when we deny that mobility, then it does affect our brains, and it can lead to depression, and just maybe not a serious depression, but just a feeling of lowness. Just feeling low and not feeling, low self-worth or.
Mm-hmm. I twisted my ankle once, and oh my goodness, it was so hard. I had to depend on my 3-year-old, and you know what she did? It's like, give me that crutch, child. She would just run away. So it was very hard, and it was having to depend on help. It just really took me down. It really brought me down. So I try to find things that I can do, like on a wheelchair with her, But I mean, I knew that the key was to not isolate myself, not stay just sedentary and just feeling sorry about myself in the chair at home. I went out and did something, and that just brightened your mood. You need to socialize. You need to be engaged. Do not stop being engaged. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. It's good for your soul. So speaking of which, you had mentioned that your family had a big influence over your current healthy lifestyle. I mean,
for sure. I would say my dad definitely modeled the behavior the best. I remember when I was in my young teens, he took up running again. He had been a runner when he was younger, and then through medical school and being an early doctor, it kind of got pushed aside for a while. But then he started to take up running again, and I remember even in the winter, and he would put on his boots and he'd go out running, and I thought, wow, that's pretty, dedicated. Mm-hmm. And so running became kind of a natural thing for me to turn to. And I just kind of did it, not with a lot of seriousness towards, long races or anything, but just as a fun thing. And then I would witness him do these, starting out with like 5Ks and 10Ks. So then I would start to do like, oh, I'll do a 5K, and then, oh, I'll do a 10K. And where we lived in Utah, there was a marathon that finished right at the park that was just up the block from us. And so every year we would watch this marathon finish. And my dad was running marathons at this point. He kept telling me, you should run a marathon. You should run a marathon. And
Wow.
I had 4 kids at the time, and I thought, that's crazy. But every year when we would watch these marathoners finishing, it was inspiring. There was just this energy that was, you could just feel it. And I would think, okay, that's it, I want to do it. Well, the first time, I remember the first time we saw it, I had a brand new baby. And so I'm like, well, that's just not feasible. And the next time, I thought I was a little bit more excited about it. But then, a couple weeks later, it would fade. Well, then I was talking to a friend, and she says, it's just about the training. If you want to run a marathon, you can run a marathon. You just have to be dedicated to the training, and then you can do it. And it's like with anything with exercise.
Right.
If you starting out on something new can be intimidating.
It is. It might be discouraging for some because they feel they should already be at a marathoner's level when they start, and it's not so.
You might not want to. You're like, I don't want to go to that Zumba class. I don't know how to do all those moves. But you know what? Everyone in there had to go to the Zumba class for the first time at one point.
All right, I'm the girl who's going the opposite direction of everybody, so that's kind of discouraging. I'm like,
so it's like you've got to just take that step. Take that step and try it. Try a Zumba class or try a kickboxing class or whatever it is that interests you personally. Take a tennis lesson. Just take that step. And you know what? Don't worry about, oh, I'm going to look ridiculous. I'm going to look uncoordinated. I'm going to, look dumb in the outfit or whatever it is that's holding you back from trying it. Just forget that. Let go of that ego that's saying, you have to be at a certain level to try something, because you know what? To try something, you're a beginner. Everyone who tries something for the first time, they're a beginner.
Yeah, and seeing something that they like. A lot with my classes, with my walk and talks, I introduce the people in my class to activities that they had only heard about, have been curious about, never tried, but are curious and want to do it at least once. And I give them that opportunity. We'll do yoga, we'll do chair yoga, we'll do swimming, we'll do all sorts of stuff, basketball, hula hoops. So that at least they could try it once. And then I want them, but my objective is to introduce them to something that they could pick up as a lifelong activity.
Right.
I want them to do this from here until the class is over, and when they're at home, I want them to take it with them and do it for the rest of their life.
Right.
And, it's so far from what I hear from my past clients, they're still doing something. They walk away with one thing. I learned that I like jump rope. Well, girl, keep on jump roping. Jump ropes are like $1, or you can just get some rope from somewhere and jump. You can walk at the beautiful parks that we have, the city has to offer here. I mean, there's so many things, and I try to push that, don't, you're your worst critic. You are. But, I see a beautiful person and you see a horrible, wretched, unfit person. No, that's crazy. I said, just, go out and try it. And then, just try it once. And then if you want to do it, keep on.
Yvonne, even with exercise, not everyone's going to get that super sculpted body. That shouldn't be the end goal. The end goal should be just to feel good. The end goal should be to, I want to do something where I'm moving my body and I feel better about myself, and physically I am better. I am better physically. Right. I'm moving things, and so your body wants to move, and you're going to feel better.
Right. That's exactly right. And I will talk to them when I see them out and about, like at the store, and I'll say, how you doing? And they're like, you know what I'm doing? And they have a smile on their face before they even talk about that activity. I say, I know you like it for a fact, because you got a big old smile on your face, and you're looking great. I mean, because I guess it's an unintended consequence of this is that they're having fun, but they're also shedding some extra weight that they did not need, and they feel great. And they're socializing. They got a new network of friends. And we had mentioned earlier this group with a marathon cheering hey, you're more likely to succeed if you participate in an activity with a group.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
Is that right? So, and don't doom yourself. Find a buddy, find a friend to encourage each other. And the worst thing you can do when you're trying so hard, get help from your friends.
Well, that's it.
So be there for me.
We're all going to have a day when you wake up and you're like, oh, I can't do it today. But if you've got to meet your friends,
right,
you're going to do it.
Oh, she's going to be mad at me.
You don't want to call. Don't want to call up your friend and say I'm bailing on you. So.
Oh no, I've tried that with some of my friends, and they got after me. It's like, how dare you? We got dressed for nothing, and you're not showing up. It's like, all right, guilt trip, I'm gonna go. So, yeah, it's very important to not do it by yourself, y'all. Find a group of friends. Be there to support each other, because studies show when you have a group that is participating in such an activity, you're less likely to fail, and you're more likely to succeed with your goals when you all participate together. So we will be going to break, and we'll be discussing some other important things about healthy living that are just as important. So we'll be back. Please stay tuned to the Extension Hour with your host, Better Living for Texans, Yvonne Welther, on IR Lone Star Radio.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last City Council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
Hello, Montgomery County. I'm Rachel Baldwin with Special Olympics Texas, Area 6. Are you a fan of courage? Are you a fan of determination? Are you a fan of acceptance, grace, and skill? Then you're already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, and/or compete and be a fan of dignity and acceptance. The dedication of our Special Olympics Texas volunteers provides mainstreaming experiences for athletes with intellectual disabilities. You will touch the heart of another person, and it will move you in a meaningful way that lifts the spirit. Please visit the Heart of East Texas Area 6 webpage at www.sotx.org. Also, like us on Facebook to be a fan and be part of Special Olympics Texas.
You're listening to the Extension Hour on Lone Star Internet Radio every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. Through our Operation School Bell program, we have provided new clothes to over 50,000 students in our county. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Well, thank you for coming back and listening to us at the for the Texas A&M Extension Hour. And my name is Yvonne Welther, your host for Better Living for Texans, and I am here with a special guest, Miss Cachet Perry Bean.
It's good to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. It is wonderful. I'm glad you got to come and visit with us. But we've been going over the issue now is it's a national health issue, is obesity in the United States, and how a sedentary lifestyle has essentially been responsible for what we're facing right now. So, I mean, there's so many good things that are trying to intervene with this issue, starting with the youth. But what we want is for people to know that they don't have to stop moving, because we get older. It doesn't mean you have to retire, sit in a rocking chair, and knit for the rest of your life. No. The key is to not stop moving, stay engaged, and never stop living. I mean, just because we're 40s, 50s, 60s doesn't mean we have to be sedentary and grandparent-like.
No, and actually, the more you move, the younger you'll feel. Your
That's
body
right.
will respond, and you'll feel younger than your age
Right.
says you are.
Actually, a sedentary lifestyle hastens aging. It ages you when you're sedentary. It's like, how does that work? It's like, well, at the cellular level, your cells don't regenerate because there's nothing telling it to regenerate. There's no aggregation, no muscle movement, no circulation. So it ages you. It actually ages you.
Well, there's a lot of things we can't control as far as diseases we might get, but there are two things we can, and one of them's our fitness, and the other one's our nutrition. Those are the two things that we can control, and they will have a positive impact when we do things that are positive.
Yeah.
In those two areas.
And what's interesting is that having in the United States, our number one killer is heart disease.
Right.
It's heart disease, and it's all linked to physical activity and nutrition.
Definitely.
And people think, well, it's all sorts of sun. It's Ebola. It's Zika. No, don't listen to that. It's heart disease. And I'll tell you right now, most of everybody that I know who has passed away has heart disease. Or if they're alive, they're probably ailing from that. So every one of us here in this room has somebody that we've known that has passed away from heart disease or some other chronic illness. And all those chronic illnesses that are killing us are preventable. And you mentioned nutrition. Absolutely. Nutrition has a lot to do with our health. If you are going to be eating something that's probably not the best thing for your body, then yeah, it's going to affect you. Could you share any interesting information about that from your experience?
Well, from my experience is that when I exercise, I tend to want to eat healthier. It kind of goes hand in hand.
That's right.
But that's not perfect. Sometimes when I exercise a lot, I want a cookie or I want some sugar, to replenish that. So it's like you have to make those conscious health choices.
Right.
But, so I think it's a balance, Yvonne. I think there's a balance in eating because, eating's a social thing. Eating, we do as families, as groups. And, I believe that there's always a place for cake, let's say. But
sure.
I think it's a balance.
Absolutely.
If we are eating healthy 90% of the time, then we can have treats occasionally.
Absolutely. And you will never hear me say that there is a bad food. And I will say the best lesson I learned was from a clinical nutritionist back in the day when I worked at the hospital. And she said, you know what, Yvonne, if you hurt somebody's food, you're going to hurt their soul. So I don't ever want to, a true professional will say there's no such thing as a bad food, but you should consider moderation.
But right, and you know what? And I think it's whole foods, Yvonne, is what
Right.
Like you were talking about, teaching kids where food comes from.
Right.
Eating those whole foods is where our focus should be. Not eating the prepackaged,
right,
processed convenience foods, because that's where we get into trouble. If we focus on eating those whole foods, eating the real vegetables, eating the real proteins, and the real whole grains, then that balance is going to happen naturally.
That's right.
But and it's hard because life is busy, so it's easy to turn to those convenience foods. So it takes planning. It takes some forethought. And with anything that's worth value, it requires that, So if we're going to exercise, or if we're going to, try to eat healthier, it's going to take that planning.
It is.
And that forethought. And so it needs to be a priority.
It is.
But here's the thing, Yvonne, once we make that a priority, we'll see the benefits. And so we'll want to make it a priority because we feel better, and it's going to become important to us because there are real tangible benefits of that.
That's right. And this might be for another show yet, but there's also teaching ourselves how to, if we're not used to, a lot of people that I've met don't eat a single vegetable. They won't have any of it. So that's a whole other show, and we'll save that for another time.
That could be an hour in itself.
But you can catch Miss Cachet Perry Bean at
the Aquatic Center. I teach every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursdays.
Okay. And you are doing the water aerobics and some other
water aerobics, water walking, and deep water jogging.
Wow, that's tough. I've tried doing that, and it's no easy feat. Let me tell you, it's like running in molasses. Not that I've ever run in molasses, but
we have fun. We put on the good music, and we have fun.
Awesome. So I thank you very much for accompanying me today for today's theme, and I hope that we can catch you all again next Friday. And also a reminder, the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Office is having a plant sale tomorrow, so we hope to see you there and get you the best plants that A&M has to offer. And we'll see you. Thank you very much for joining us for the Texas A&M Extension Hour. I am your host, your Better Living for Texans Agent Extension Assistant, Yvonne Welther.